Hi, this tutorial is how to make these wool feathers that contain a wire spine. They're really quick and easy to make, and they'd be great for needle felting projects or for making whole wings. So you will need some Wonder Web. This is the Wonder Web brand, but I'm sure any hemming bondable fabric will do. You'll want some floristry wire. I'm using the type that is coated in white paper. I don't know if you can see that. And it is called Hammerworth, and it's number 28. Let me show you the packet there. Ooh. Okay. You're going to want some really sharp scissors. These are like a needlepoint scissor. They cut all the way to the tip, so they're going to be really useful for when you're trying to cut in all these nicks to put the details into your feather. And you're going to want some snips for cutting the wire, and lastly you're going to want your fibres. Now I use merino wool, it's just because that's what I use, it's not a specific preference. I've never tried this with other types of fibres before, but experiment, have a go, see what works. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to take a pinch of your base colour. Now on this feather you can see I've used a different colour for the base of the feather than the top, so I'm just going to take a small pinch of this beautiful silver grey and I'm going to lay it out on my ironing surface, which I've chucked this bit of old fabric over the top just to keep it protected from the bonding glue that's in the Wonder Web. So you just want to lay out your feather, not making your fibres too deep, because only the bit that comes into contact with the Wonder Web is going to bond to it. So you don't really want to be able to see like your fabric underneath, but at the same time you don't want a great big thick bulk. So there we go. So if you have a bit at the end that looks a bit bald, don't rip or cut the fibres to shorten it. You just want to lay in some extra fibres. Let's see if it works with this green. And then once it's all bonded together, these long tail bits that come out the top that you won't actually want can be snipped off. But if you try and do it at the moment, it just doesn't bond properly. So there we go. So we've got a grey feather with a green tip. The next thing you're going to do is take a layer of Wonder Web. I have pre-cut this, but you can cut it as you go. So my feather is actually only going to be as thick as the Wonder Web is, so you might want to think about that when you're positioning it. The next thing you want to do is take a piece of your floristry wire. You need to know which end is going to be the base of your feather, because you're going to need to leave some of your wire protruding out the end, and this is the bit that you can use for attaching to your needle felted projects. So I reckon a couple of inches maybe. You don't want too much. I'm just going to snip that there just because it really gets in the way otherwise. So now we've got fibres, hemming web or Wonder Web, your spine. We're going to take another layer of hemming web or Wonder Web, lay it on top, and now we're going to put the top layer of our feather. So I think I'm going to go for this beautiful bright blue. And again, you just want to take small pinches, lay the fibres out so it just covers your Wonder Web, but not too thickly. There we go. A little bit more down there. Add some, I think we might add some green to this end one as well. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now you should have a feather sandwich. So you should have fibre, Wonder Web, wire, Wonder Web, more fibres. Now I'm going to follow the instructions on my particular brand of Wonder Webbing that I'm using. If you're using a different brand, just double check that the instructions are the same. My one says to press down with a damp cloth over the top and a dry hot iron. So double check you've got your steam turned off on your iron, otherwise this won't work. So what we're going to do is going to take, this is just a damp bit of calico, scrap fabric I have laying around, and I lay it down on top of my feather sandwich. I'm going to take my hot dry iron and push down for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you want to let the steam cool. Obviously don't lean over it and let the steam come up in your face, and be very careful when you're handling the hot iron. I do not recommend this for unsupervised children. So let the steam cool down a bit, and then you just want to gently take your damp piece of fabric off, and you can see it's just started to bond. So you want to gently, and this can be a little bit fiddly, gently peel your feather sandwich off your surface. Okay, lay your cloth back over it, and then we're going to do the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you want to push down and not try and move your iron backwards and forwards, because if you move it backwards and forwards, all you're going to do is scuff up your fibres, and it's going to end up looking a real mess. So then we can peel off and get rid of our damp bit of cloth. Okay, and just give it a second to cool down. Okay, and that's just letting all the wonder webbing cool down, solidify and adhere to the fibres. Right, at this stage you want to sort of roughly cut out your feather shape. So I like to leave a fluffy bit at the bottom, and I know my feather's going to be quite thin because the wonder webbing's thin. Oops. Let's pull off all the excess fibres, and then we just want to follow up the side, and then I can see where my wonder webbing is at the top. There we go. So it's already looking pretty feathery, to be honest. Right, at this stage I like to just give it another press, because you've got rid of all the excess stuff that's going to be in your way. You can just give it a, oops, if you've got any bits like that, just cut them off and they're fine, they can go. Right, okay, so I'm just going to give it another press just to squish all the fibres down, which is going to help me when I cut it. When I cut out all those little details, flip it over. This time you'll notice I'm not using a damp cloth. I am just now squashing down the fibres and helping them to adhere to that wonder web. Whoops. Okay. There we go. So at this stage you can leave your feather as it is. You can trim it up, or if you want to add details, this is the point where you're going to start cutting those little details in that are going to make your feather look really feathery. Now here you can see I've got a bit of a patch there where I've missed a bit. I don't know if you can see it. So rather than worry about it, I'm going to cut one of my details straight through that patch. There we go. So I'm just cutting out little, whoops, little slithers of fibre. If you get a bit like this and you've put too much fibre on, you can just gently pull it off, then it's not going to affect your feather too much. What you don't want to do is start pulling off loads of it, because your feather's going to look terrible, because you're going to end up pulling all the fibres off. But there you go, there now you can see. So we're going to cut out the little nicks. I'm going to give our feather the detail that it needs. I'm just going to follow the line of the feather, and there we go. There we go, work your way up to the tip. You might just want to put a few in, you might not want to put any in. Okay, I like to take some out of the tip. There we go. Now I'm cutting tiny little V slivers. Slithers? Slithers. That's it, at the end of my feather. And then you can work your way back down the other side if you want to. And put another one in there. Another one in there. That's looking a bit big and bulky there, so we'll take that one out. Right, okay. There you go, so we'll just give it a final press, just to make sure everything is really bonded together nicely. There we go, flip it over, give the back the same attention. And there you have it. You might want to leave this for a few minutes to cool down. And once it cools, as you can see, it becomes, oh there it is, it becomes quite stable, so you can actually manipulate it and twist it without fluffing it up too much, okay? And there you go, one wire feather.